Pick up your horror figures at Big Bad Toy Store at the link in the description.
Dragon Ball, Pokemon, Kaiju, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hello, collectors, and happy Halloween to ya. Today is going to be the first horror figure review of the month, and we are going to be taking a look at NECA's Creep from Shudder's revival of Creepshow. Not a lot of folks are happy that this is the direction that they went in, because a lot of folks like the OG Creep, or maybe they wanted the Crypt Keeper instead. Here's the issue. People don't like to play fun when it comes to licensing, when it comes to old stuff, because if not everybody can get the money to what they believe they're entitled to, then guess what? They're not going to come to the table and play. However, if you are able to show them that there is money to be made with the new modern day stuff, then they may just want to bend to that. So we get this, and I do have to say that it's a little bit different than the prototype pictures, and yeah, not everything matches the proto 100%. However, there are a few differences, but that doesn't necessarily make this a bad figure. So let's take a look to see whether or not you should have the spooky version of a fairy tale teller to your collection. For some reason, there are a lot of folks who are upset that this has soft goods. I don't know why you would want a robe made out of plastic. That's just me. But okay, that's fine. You do you. This figure is very similar to the movie Splinter that they did, where it is soft goods robe, which actually can be removed, and we'll take a look at that in a second, but the rest of the body has fine articulation, so it's going to move and groove just like the rest of NECA stuff. It's just got a robe, which, by the way, the robe's got a little bendy wire in the hood. Yeah, pretty neat. I will say that when it comes to the prototype to the final product, there were quite a few changes. Most notably is going to be in the robe. The robe definitely looks like it is not as dirty and grimy as it was in the prototype. Some of the holes actually looked like they were patched up, which is a little disappointing. And the paint for the face looks like it was very, very heavy-handed here on the final product compared to the more intricate detailing that was found on the prototype and in some promotional galleries elsewhere. I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's bad. You can really see the details that are found on the face. Quite easy here. Now for the hair, there is a little bit of glue that's used on the head, which you are able to see that clearly. So it's kind of one of those things where if you appreciate the craftsmanship, you're gonna like it. If you don't, well, hey, it's there. It'll bug you or it won't. But otherwise, the hair, it is pretty creepy, and it does get in the face sometimes to really make it look like, you know, this is a living thing in a way. So that's nice to see that they did add those finer details there. Now, taking a close look at the robe, we do have that little bit of ribbon that's meant to be, you know, the closure for the robe if you want that. There's no bow, there's no tie, so it flows freely. If you want to tie it up, please do so. It doesn't look like it is tattered as much as it did in the prototype pictures, but I guess that's okay. If you did want to modify it yourself, I guess just take some black acrylic paint, water it down, and just throw it on there. Maybe take some scissors, cut a hole in it or two. Hey, maybe even burn it. Not that I'm telling you to do anything in specific or encouraging you to play with fire. I'm just saying, if you wanted to do that, which you would do on your own accord, not because I'm telling you to do so, you might want to do that. Now again, you can actually remove the robe, and NECA fully painted and sculpted everything underneath. So if you wanted a naked creep, that's NECA, naked. Okay, you're going to have all those details there. Now, if you really wanted to get funky, I'm sure you could remove the hair, or maybe just even find a generic head of some kind, like a skeleton head, and you just have a zombie. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, the rest of the details on the creep are pretty gruesome. So if you do appreciate those details here on the creep, well then congratulations, he does look good. I would have to say for final analysis in regards to looks, yeah, I mean there's not a whole lot wrong going on here. Just wish they were able to match it closer to the prototype. But isn't that every figure? Sequence-wise, this was actually nearly almost immediately after my unboxing, and I took his robe off, so that way we can actually take a look at all the joints, and you can even tell that this is pretty much right after my unboxing because he's still kind of wet, and you can see the creep made little peeps. But anyway, so the articulation is actually not bad at all, and I'm very, very surprised at the amount of articulation is in here with this figure, especially with the engineering, because, well, it's actually pretty good. And to actually see those joints working, so this way you can identify where they're at without the clothing, is the reason why I have them like this. So let's take a look. We do have ball joint for the neck. The creep's looking pretty much everywhere, about that high up, that far down, spin around, rock from side to side. It's all good. We do have the standard swivel hinge at the shoulders, which these are still difficult for me to move, but you know, the creep can T-pose without the robe on, but that's okay. We do have double hinged elbows here, one that plugs into the forearm and one that plugs into the bicep. No true bicep swivel, but since these plug in on pegs, they swivel around as well. It's much more difficult to get the forearm swivel to move, but once you do, that's fine. Swivel hinges at the wrist, so that's good. We have a ball jointed ab crunch, which pretty good range of movement here. Not too bad. For the hips, those of you who are fans of NECA's effective double hinge combo there, they're doing ball joints now. So the thigh plugs into the hip on a ball joint, and then that sculpt plugs into the thigh on a swivel. So we have some good movement there, and hopefully this won't loosen up over time. That's the intent of this anyway. So forward and back about that far, you saw it can do the splits just fine. So when we go down to the knees, we have single hinge knees, but they are also on swivels as well, so we can spin them. No big deal. And then hinge and swivels for ankle rocker movement. Now, what I will say is that the reason mainly that I took the robe off is there were so many stuck joints with paint, I could not risk forcing anything and causing it to break. So I took the robe off of him and I ran it under hot water for a little bit. I was careful to do each section by itself. I don't know what exactly is used to keep the hair in place here, just some sort of glue. I didn't want to loosen that up, so yeah, I just did it. Leg, torso, arm, and the head was fine, so yeah. So once you get the joints all nice and free moving up, then we are good to go for the articulation. Very nice, and I do have to say, pop the head off. This makes a very nice generic zombie body as well. Now, for the maybe 4 of you out there who are going to comment that you did the articulation with the robe off, we don't know the range of movement with it on. First and foremost, we do have a bendy wire, very thin one here for the hood, so that's cool. But yeah, realistically speaking, just move the sleeves up so you know where the joints are at. You don't ham-hand it. The legs go out about that far to the side and that far back. In unison, they work better. So, I mean, the articulation doesn't really change. This robe has a little bit of give to it, which is good. It's loose fitting, which is why you're able to get it off. Think about it just like a t-shirt. You're good to go. So the articulation doesn't really change, except bendy wear. You can put the hood down over like that. Yeah. Time for the accessories, where the creep comes with a lantern, an extra hand to hold the lantern. It's going to come with a skull, and it's going to come with an issue of Creepshow. Now, that issue of Creepshow is going to be the Pingor. Yes, the Pingor. The one with Bob. Yes, very good. Now, that brings me back to an idea I had in the unboxing, where it would be pretty fun if they were able to do an accessory set for the creep, which is going to have different things that happened in season 1. And then maybe they could branch out to the OG Creepshow. Hey, who knows? But not me. I don't get paid that kind of money to make these decisions, folks. I just don't. Actually, don't get paid to make any of these decisions. Anyway, we get the lantern too, which a lot of folks were hoping that this would light up, but for $23, I don't see how they would be able to do that. If this were an ultimate around the $30 price range, or now the $35 price range, then yeah, there's no reason the lantern shouldn't be able to light up. But if you know how to play with light tricks, you would be able to do that. And last but most certainly not least, we get the skull. Very detailed. It looks very nice. And what's interesting here is that there's a socket for a ball joint. And it just so happens that the creep's head is connected on a ball joint. So if you wanted to have fun, go ahead. It's not a good fit, but but it works. Yeah. So what's actually very convenient here is that even though the Creep comes with splayed hands, it can definitely hold the comic book, can hold the skull, and with the alternate hand, it can hold the lantern. So realistically speaking, not only is the Creep going to be able to hold all the accessories, they also make for great props in your Halloween display. So one way or another, for the price point, I mean, there's nothing really else they could add in. If this were an ultimate, I would say extra hands, more issues of Creepshow, and then also I would say some form of chair for the Creep to sit in. Now we're going to go ahead and move on over to a size comparison where you can see standard 7-inch scale for a NECA figure. For a creepy storyteller, this will fit in just well anywhere on your shelf. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Again, as I don't even know how many times I made mention this between the unboxing and this review. There are a lot of folks who are upset that this isn't the OG Creep, that it's not the Crypt Keeper. I mean, licensing, that's what it ultimately comes down to. Yes, we would all like that, but realistically speaking, this is what we get. And who knows? Buy it and show those folks that there's money on the table. There's something that will sell. That's the only argument I can make if you don't like this and you're maybe on the fence somewhat, some way. Yeah, I like it. It works for me. The articulation is nice. The accessories are there. And even though it doesn't quite match the prototype, I still think that it does look good. Personally, for me, this isn't the last time you're going to see the Creep this Halloween season. Oh, no. The next review, unfortunately, I don't have the time to get what I have planned for that review, so unfortunately it's not going to happen, but you're going to see the Creep again in the future. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now you've heard a lot from me, I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.